So I kept thinking about how I'm doing and helping you take pride and ownership of what you do. Not just in what you do on a daily basis where you straighten people's teeth and you give them a new smile and you make them feel good about themselves, but pride in everything you do. Pride in the fact that you're providing for your family in a very useful and productive way. Pride in the fact that you are supporting your team members on everything from being able to pay their car payment to their mortgage to feed their family, to be that second income that their family needs to survive. Hey leaders, hope you're all doing awesome today, and I wanted to send this video out to you because most of you were not able to get on the phone call this morning, and we ended up just bagging it because many of you had time off last week that you're making up for this week and you're seeing patients today, and that's totally fine. I just wanted to give you the quick intro content that I always give at the beginning of the phone call here in a video, and you know, it might actually serve you a little bit better. So this last week, as many of you know, my son is actually a soldier in the U.S. Army, and he graduated from his basic training. Well, there's basic training that happens, I think, 8 weeks at basic training, and you have that little graduation. And then there's from basic and your job, what's called your MOS, and he's a cavalry scout. So he spent the last 8 weeks dealing with learning how to be a cavalry scout and what that entails, and learning all the tanks and all the combat stuff and the stuff he really enjoys. And we got to go to his graduation yesterday, and I wanted to share something that happened to me that I wanted to kind of give to you as I thought about it more and more throughout the day on the flight home yesterday about how it affected me, and I hope it's affecting you. So my son has always wanted to be in the military. He is someone who, when he was 12 years old, was like, I want to be in the Army. And I know a lot of little boys say that, but he has always wanted to do that. And that totally skipped me, right? My dad was in Vietnam. I had no desire to do that whatsoever. And yesterday, my son, as he graduated actually with a marksmanship honor where he was the top marksman in the entire brigade, and it was awesome to see him be able to get that reward. He got special accommodation. He got to be in front of the whole class, and some of you have probably seen my wife's pictures on Facebook. But man, there was a moment there where I just like swelled up with pride, where I got pretty emotional just seeing him be in his element and earning it and owning it. And he went through some terrible stuff. Now, many of you know basic training is not the easiest thing in the world, right? And the more stories he would tell us through the family day, the day before yesterday, the more stories he would tell us, the more at one point I even went, man, Hayden, every story you tell me makes me realize that I did make the right decision in not joining the Army when I was younger. I just never had the desire to go through that stuff. I don't want people yelling at me, everything that goes on there, right? Well, there was a real big pride moment, and I got to express that to him afterwards. And you know, my son's gone through a lot throughout his teenage years. He battled with depression and anxiety. It runs in my family, so it wasn't too much of a surprise, but it's still challenging. He has dyslexia. He has some learning disabilities, and this was going to be a challenge for him, and he overcame it with flying colors, and it was just a great moment for our family. I bring that up because as I was flying back yesterday, I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about on this call, and I actually had something else I wanted to talk about as your content piece. And this kept coming up, that pride that I felt for him. You know, maybe it had to do with every time as we're walking through the airport, he's in his camo, and people would come up. Literally, some guy stopped. We were in line to get some yogurt. This guy stopped, turned around, came back, tapped my son on the shoulder, and we're thinking, and it was a young kid. We're thinking he wanted to get cut through our line because the line kind of came out into the hallway area. Then he was like, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you for your service." Like, okay, and like a lot of that, and it was really cool. Of course, we saw that in different little places, and in Georgia where he was stationed, every place you went, the staff, the team members, they were just so nice. Wherever we went to a restaurant or whatever, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. Really appreciate everything you do. So that was there, but he's now in the real world and he's feeling this and hearing it. And as a matter of fact, last night we went to a concert right when we landed. We went to a concert together. And as we were going to our seats, the usher stopped us and said, "Hey, how many people are in your party?" We happen to have like 10 people in our party. And they're like, "Here." And they gave us tickets to go up to the front rows. And they said, "Thank you for your service. We appreciate it." It's amazing. It's really tough. And it's hard for him to get used to. He's a very humble person, but it's hard for him to get used to. He's 18 years old. He just turned 18 a month ago. He graduated from his basic before his friends graduated from high school, before he was 18. He wins this top shot honor as a 17-year-old, as the guy he competed up against after they, whittled it down. It was like whatever they call it, a bracket system, I guess it is. And you guys know me with sports. And he went up against a 32-year-old Navy SEAL, and he beat him. And this is a kid who really accomplished a lot. I don't say this all to brag about him. I say this all because as I'm thinking about this over and over again, I start thinking of you guys as what you do. And it's hard for him to take all of it in. Sometimes he feels embarrassed by all the great job and congratulations and thank you for your service and all that. And I wondered how many of you don't take it in. How many of you don't have that real deep-seated pride? Now I get it. Many of you guys talk to me about how you change lives and you love what you do. And that's great. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I wonder how many of you really sit with what you've accomplished and the pride that you should have, the pride that I have in you. Oftentimes when I get a celebration or an email that comes back to me about what you guys done great this week, I'll send back or I'll say to you on our calls, I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of you. And I know many of you just kind of brush it off if you're anything like me, because when everybody gives me a compliment, oftentimes they'll be like, well, the moon was up and the moon was red or whatever. Like I dismiss it, right? I give credit somewhere else instead of taking that in. So I kept thinking about how I'm doing and helping you take pride and ownership of what you do. Not just in what you do on a daily basis where you straighten people's teeth and you give them a new smile and you make them feel good about themselves, but pride in everything you do. Pride in the fact that you're providing for your family in a very useful and productive way. Pride in the fact that you are supporting your team members on everything from being able to pay their car payment to their mortgage, to feed their family, to be that second income that their family needs to survive. Pride in the fact that you are an entrepreneur and you're showing an example to so many other people out there, to little kids who see you. And maybe it's anything from you driving a nice car to being able to go on cool vacations to even just helping people in their smiles, that they look at you and they think, wow, I want to do that someday. Like I want to be like him. So I'm going to challenge you this week. I'm going to challenge you this week to sit with yourself this weekend. Actually, it's Friday. Take some time this weekend, whether it be Saturday or Sunday, just by yourself and own it and really be proud of what you've accomplished and own the fact that you have done so many great things, and that the more you own it, the more you have pride in that. And I'm not talking about, pride braggadocious, right? I'm not talking about being like, yeah, I'm awesome, but just owning it. Like, look what you've done, and let that sink in and let that go to your heart. And from there, be able to take that and feel that as you do your work next week. I promise you the people around you will feel it a little differently. They'll see you a little differently. They'll ask, hey, what's going on? Like, it'll bring you more joy. You see, I want you to be more present with what you do and the people around you. And you can't be more present unless you actually own it and feel it and know that you've worked hard for this. Some of you are struggling. Some of you are feeling like I'm not where I thought I'd be. Some of you are wishing you could get there faster. Some of you had success and it's dropped down a little bit and you're wondering how to get back to that. I'm going to ask you to focus on what you've accomplished up to this point, to really take ownership of it, to know that that's there. Because the more you believe in it and you see the evidence and you actually focus on the evidence of all the cool things you've done and all the accomplishments you've had, it's going to help you to know you can get back there again. Don't let it frustrate you. let yourself really believe that you're going to get there again and that you're going to get to that place. Or if you are having success right now, don't get cocky about it, but just be happy about it and really have that pride moment. As I sat there and watched my son, he actually got to get a special handshake and award from the colonel. The colonel even had him at one point break formation, which is so odd, but had him lean over and wave to us, totally out of formation, but the colonel told him to do it. There was a joy that was there. Obviously, as parents, there was joy in seeing our son do what he loves and be good at it. But there was a joy from everybody in that audience. It was infectious. There was a bubble of pride for all those boys and all that they had accomplished. There were only men in this unit. So I know that as you really take that in and you look at every single person as, look what you're able to do and how lucky you are and how blessed you are to live in the country that we do, to be able to have the opportunities that you do. I know you get that, but I want you to get that at a deeper level. And the more you do that, the more other people are going to feel that. That is part of the culture you're creating. Pride in what we do, pride in the ability to help other people, but also to be able to show people what they can have. I even talk often, and some of you I've talked about this privately, about your marriage. Like, have pride in that and what you've been able to accomplish. Look at every single one of your kids, look at your spouse, and own that and be happy about what you've created. And when you do, others will feel that. That will create part of that magnetic draw into your practice. So I hope that serves you guys. I am proud of all of you, and I'm proud of the work that you're doing and the work that you're putting into it. And I hope that you feel that, and I hope that you understand how important it is to just sit with that for a little bit. Thank you so much for all that you do. And have an awesome week. I'll see you on the next call.